Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Rahmadani. Generous reading. The first, academic reading. General Intersical in Medicine newspaper, external technical reports, e.g. lab reports, professional journal articles, reference material, dictionary, external textbooks, thesis, essay, papers, text, direction, editorials, and opinion writing. The second, job-related reading. Message, e.g. phone message, letter or emails, memos, e.g. inter-office reports, e.g. job evaluation project report schedule, labs, things, and comments, forms, application, questionnaires, financial documents, bills, invoice, external directories, bills, invoice, external directories, telephone, office, external manual directions. And the last, personal reading. Newspaper and medicine letters, emails, greetings, cards, invitation, message, notes, list, schedules, train, bus, plane, external space, menu maps, calendars, advertisements, curricles when age, novels, short stories, jokes, drama, poetry, financial documents, e.g. check, test form, ion application, forms, questionnaires, medical reports, immigration documents, common strips, cartons. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, my name is Sulfitriani and I will continue the material about micro skill, macro skill, and strategies for reading. The first is micro skill. Separate among the particular grammars and orthographic example of English, and hold piece of the language of various lengths in present moment memory, and cycle composing at the productive pace to suit the purpose. And the last is perceive center of words. Okay, the second is macro skills. Perceive the explanatory types of composed talk and their not words for interpretation. And then perceive the information elements of composed writings as a format purpose, and then induce settings that isn't expressed by utilizing foundation information, and then the structure, depicted occasion, thought, and so on. And the last is recognize and suggestive implication. And the last is strategies for reading is perceive synthetic word classes frameworks, perceive that a specific significance might be communicated in the different grammatical form, and the last perceive firm gadgets in composed talk and their function in signaling to connection between among condition. I think that's all for me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
My name is Sudia Maharani Arifin, but you can call me Widi. So I will explain about the types of reading. Several types of reading performance are typically identified, and this will serve us as organized of various assessment tasks. So the first types of reading is perspective. Perspective reading task involve attending to the components of large stretch of discourse, letters, words, pronunciation, and other graphemic symbols. Bottom-up processing is implied. Assessment of basic reading skills may be carried out in a number of different ways: reading aloud, reading response, multiple choice, and picture cut items. And then the second is selective. In order to ascertain one's reading recognition of lexical, grammatical, or discourse feature of language within a very short stretch of language. The certain typically The certain typical tests that are used as follow: picture tests, brief paragraphs, and simple charts and graphs. A combination a combination of bottom-up and top-down processing may be used. Multiple choice for form focus criteria, matching tests, editing tests, picture cue tests, and gap filling tests. So the third is interactive. Reading is a process of negotiation meaning. The reader brings to the text a set of schema for understanding in an intake is a product of interaction. Some typical genres that include are anecdote, short narrative, and description. Besides questionnaire, memos, and assignment, direction, recite are also included in this category. Top-down processing is typical task, although some instances of bottom-up performance may be necessary. Close tasks, input reading plus comprehension question, short answer task, editing, scanning, othering task, and information transfer. And then the fourth, it is extensive. Extensive reading applies to the text of more than a page, up to and including processing in articles, essays, technical reports, short stories, and books. These reading activities are usually done outside classroom hour. Top-down processing is assumed for the most extensive tasks. Skimming tasks, summarizing and responding, and not talking and outlining.
D. Designing assessment task. Perceptive reading. The first is reading aloud. The taste taker sees separate letters, words, and or short sentences and reads them aloud one by one in the presence of an administrator. Since the assessment is of reading comprehension, any recognizable oral approximation of the target response is considered correct. The second is written response. The same stimuli are presented, and the taste taker's task is to reproduce the prop in writing. The third is multiple choice. Multiple choice responses are not only a matter of choosing one of 4 or 5 possible answers. Other formats, some of which are especially useful at the low levels of reading, include same or different, circle the answer, true or false, choose the letter, and matching. The fourth is picture cued items. The taste takers are shown in a picture along with a written text and are given a number of a possible task to perform. With the same picture, the taste taker might read sentences and then point to the correct part of the picture. Or a true or false procedure might be presented with the same picture cue. Matching can be an effective method of assessing reading at this level. With objects labeled A, B, C, D, E in a picture, the taste taker reads words and writes the appropriate letter beside the word. Finally, taste takers might see a word or phrase and then be directed to choose one of 4 pictures that is being described, thus requiring the test taker to transform from a verbal to a non-verbal mode. In the following item, the taste taker chooses the correct letter.
The first test style is called multiple choice for focus criteria. So, multiple choice test is one of the popular methods of testing reading that use for knowing the student knowledge about vocabulary and grammar. It's very popular because it's very easy and it's very easy to organize, and also it can be scored quickly. Multiple choice test has some kinds of style that people use to test the students' ability of the vocabulary and their grammar. The first is a very common style. It's called multiple choice vocabulary grammar text. The second is called contextualized multiple choice vocabulary grammar. The third is multiple choice closed vocabulary grammar text. So this closed vocabulary grammar text, it's like a gap sentence, and the test taker should fill the blank sentence with the answer that listed below. Second test is called matching text. Well, at the selective level of reading, the test taker text is simply to respond correctly, which makes matching an appropriate format. The most frequently appearing criterion in matching procedure is vocabulary. So, the following below is the typical format of matching text. So, this two is the typical format of matching text. The first is called vocabulary matching test, and the second is selected response fill in vocabulary text. The next material is editing text. So, editing for grammatical or theoretical error is widely used for test method for assessing linguistic competence in reading. So, below will be an example of this editing test. So, the first example of test is called multiple choice grammar editing text. So, the instruction for the test takers is choose the letter of the underlined word that is not correct. The next is called picture cue text. Well, the test takers need to read the sentence or the passage, and then choose one of the four pictures that will be the best answer according to the instruction that given on the question. This kind of question is more complex. It's more difficult than another before. The next is called gap filling text. Many of the multiple choice texts described before that can be converted into gap filling or fill in the blank items, which the test taker's response is to write a word or phrase. One question style from gap filling text called sentence completion text. So the test takers need to fill all the blank sentence that provide the question.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Sylvia Wianto, and I will describe about the material of designing assessment tests of interactive reading. So the first is closed text. Closed text is the ability to fill in gaps in an incomplete image, such as visual, auditory, or cognitive, and supply omitted details. So there are so many kind of closed tasks. The first is closed procedures, fixed schedulations, and the second is closed rational directions, and the third is C-test producers, and the last is closed elite procedure. So next is number 2 is about impromptu reading plus comprehensions. So the most common technique for assessing reading is read a passage and answers some question technique. So There example here. And the third is about short answer tasks. This is about a popular alternative to multiple choice question following reading passage is the age-old short answer format. So there's a question here. It is the example of short answer task. So we move. The next is editing. Editing is about longer text, is about how much longer text. In editing text, there are several advantages gained in the longer format. They are authenticity is increased, the text simulates providing one's own essay. The task designer can draw out specification for a number and rhetorical categories that match the content of the courses. So here is the exercise. It's the example about editing. It's about contextualized grammar editing task. So you can see it here. And number 5 is about scanning. So what is scanning? Scanning is a strategy used by all readers to find relevant information in a text. It is a kind of reading a text quickly, going through a text to find a particular piece of information. And not the last, but this is number 6 is ordering task. What is ordering task? This is also called strip story technique. That is assembling little strip of paper with a sentence on it into a story. So here is the example. And the last is about number 7. The last is about information transfer. Reading charts, maps, graphs, and diagrams. So this is about a technique to comprehend cards, maps, graphs, calendars, diagrams, and so on and so on. So maybe that's all. Thank you very much.
Designing assessment task. Extensive reading. Skimming task. Skimming is the process of rapid converge of reading matter to determine its gist or main idea. Assessment of skimming strategies is usually straightforward. Skimming task. What is the main idea of this task? What is the author's purpose in writing the text? What kind of writing is this? Newspaper, article, manual novel? What type of writing is this? Expository, technical narrative? How easy or difficult do you think this text will be? What do you think you will learn from the text? How useful will the text be for your profession, academic needs, interest? Number 2, summarizing and responding. One of the most common means of assessing extensive reading is to ask the test taker to write a summary of text. Direction of summarizing. Write a summary of the text. Your summary should be about one of paragraph in like 100 to 150 words and should include your understanding of the main idea and supporting ideas. Criteria for assessing a summary amount to 1001 paragraph 184. Number 1. Expressing accurately the main idea and supporting ideas. Number 2 is writing in the student's own words. Possessional vocabulary from the original text is acceptable. Number 3 is logically organized. Number 4, display facility in the use of language to clearly express ideas in the text. Direction for responding to reading. In the article, poisoning the air we breathe. The author suggests that a global dependency on fossil fuels will eventually make air in large cities toxic.